I've made it very clear in the past that I am not looking at any Disney products. I'm on the what's called the hashtag Disney boycott. But what is it? Well, it's a Disney boycott, but why? Why am I going out of my way to avoid everything Disney, and going out of my way to ensure that they don't get a cent of my money? Am I just some cold-hearted prude who doesn't enjoy good times? Far from it. But there's a couple good reasons for why I'm on the Disney boycott and why I encourage all of you to join me. This may seem random, but I have a point. Do you guys know about the Phantom Menace effect? This will take a little bit of explaining. So when Phantom Menace came out in 1997, the Star Wars fanatics went wild. A brand new Star Wars movie made by the original creators. All the awesome lightsaber fighting, the Force, the lasers, the space battles, it'll all be back. So of course, lines around the block, everyone was really excited for Phantom Menace. They'd pretty much made their budget back within the first week of it being in theaters. So everyone was all hyped and excited, and everyone loved it when they came out of the theater, but they didn't know why. Actual words that had been spoken were, "I'm sure it's good, we just need to find out why." And it can't be bad because there can't be a bad Star Wars movie. People would say things like that. But as we all know, within the coming months and years, people realized one thing. Phantom Menace sucked. The dialogue was bad, the characters were annoying, the stereotypes were abysmal, the plot made no sense, and overall just moved at too sluggish of a pace. However, too late by then, Attack of the Clones was going to come out. So by that time that everyone realized Phantom Menace was garbage, it was too late. Lucas had their money. That is the Phantom Menace effect, a company relying purely on the hype and the excitement to draw people in, and then them convincing themselves that it has to be good because it's attached to a big brand name. Only for them to realize it's not actually good later on, but it's too late, the company already has their next trap lined up. That is the Phantom Menace effect, and that is exactly Disney's strategy. Think about it. When Finding Dory came out, everyone was saying it's one of the best Pixar movies ever, 100% on Rotten Tomato, multi-billion dollars. What does everyone think of it now? It was fine, just kind of Finding Nemo again. What happened? The hype died down, that's what. Incredibles 2, everyone was saying fantastic, phenomenal. But now a lot of the people I'm talking to now say, could have been worse. Last Jedi, a lot of people were very, very adamant about it being a very good movie. Kyle too, in fact, my closest friend. He was very particular of defending it. That was the only thing we disagreed on. Ask him what he thinks now, along with all the other people I talked to. They agree it sucked. But it's too late. Disney has your money. Same thing with the live-action remakes. Solo, a Star Wars story, what few people actually saw it. Wreck-It Ralph 2, and so forth. Disney seems to just be relying on the Phantom Menace effect, using old properties that we grew up with and loved dearly to exploit us. Finding Nemo, Incredibles, Wreck-It Ralph, and more on the way. Like, come on, did we really need a Toy Story 4? No. Why are they doing it? Phantom Menace effect. I can promise you it's going to be mediocre at best, but we're all going to hail it as fantastic when it comes out until maybe a year later when we realize maybe it wasn't so great. But by then, too late. Monsters Inc. 3, ooh, that'll be good, right? The cycle repeats. And they're going to keep doing this because they know it works. They don't have to put in effort, they just have to use something we all love. Who needs actual talent when you've got nostalgia and merchandising, all about the merchandising? And it's how badly they do it too. Let's look at some examples. We get sequels like Finding Dory, which are just the same thing as the first movie, but weaker. We get stuff that nobody asked for like Toy Story 4, but because it has a recognizable name, people are going to go see it. Or we have Ralph Breaks the Internet, which is just a kind of hack job fan fiction essentially. But again, because it's Wreck-It Ralph and it has the Disney name, it can't be bad. And of course the live action Disney remakes, basically the exact same thing as their animated films, just more expensive. But hey, since they're the same as the animated films, they have to be good and, necessary. Nowhere is this terrible practice more evident than in Star Wars. They're turning it into Marvel. Now, I already don't like the MCU at all, and I'll explain why in another video. But a lot of Marvel movies have this same kind of flow. They're not serious, they joke too much, they're all quips, the characters blend together and are essentially the same homogeneous blob. And that is what's happening with Star Wars. We get the bland lead, the quirky side characters, the merchandisable side characters, the boring villain. And jokes, quips galore. It's not really Star Wars anymore, it's Marvel. Space Marvel. Diet Space Marvel. Now, I'll be the first to admit, Star Wars was never Shakespeare in the first place. I mean, have you heard the prequel lines or listened to some of those quirky little things they'd say in the original trilogy? So the writing isn't always great, but it had a style. At least with the prequels, they felt like they belonged in the Star Wars world. This just feels like a fan project. Yeah, they look great, but look past that. The characters don't make sense, the lore doesn't make sense, and money is clearly the driving force. Yes, it's a business, it needs to focus on money. But Walt Disney had a famous quote, "I don't make movies to make money, I make money to make movies." Walt Disney just made movies because he had a story to tell. But of course, we know that after the Jungle Book, Walt Disney died, so of course, 60s onwards, it had to be an actual business. But here's the thing. Yes, Disney was absolutely greedy and insane in the 90s during the Renaissance. But they didn't show that in their product. I mean, we can all look at things like The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Hunchback of Notre Dame. They don't reek of greed. Okay, maybe Aladdin a little bit with its contemporary stuff, but even still, they feel like movies, not cash grabs. I can't say the same for Incredibles 2, Finding Dory, Frozen 2 coming up, Wreck-It Ralph 2, the remakes of all their animated films, the Star Wars spin-offs that are just too many to count. They just reek of, let's get some money and throw something together. But there's a little bit more. There's actually one more thing Disney really seems to care about. Right alongside money, it's bashing you over the head with their morals. Look, I'm all for racial equality and women in power. I'm all for that. Treat everybody as equals, and that's how the world should be. But Disney doesn't seem to understand that we all get it by now. We get it. Women are awesome. We get it. Don't be racist. Tell a story. They seem more focused on just blindly preaching their morals in there than actually conveying an entertaining story. This is part of the cash grab thing. They can throw this in there for social brownie points and say, see, it's not a cash grab, we're telling a message. Even with Zootopia, which I found decent, I thought the message got way too heavy-handed because we get the point going in. It's Pocahontas all over again. It's just beating us over the head with a message that we already understand like 5 minutes in. And all their Disney princesses have to be, we're not those old Disney princesses. Who wants to just be standing around looking pretty? Every girl has to be an action hero. Why can't they just be whoever they want to be? If they want to be an action hero, let them be that. If they want to just stand around and look pretty, let them do that. It's called America. We can live our lives the way we want to live them. That's our right. Just because something was really popular back in the day doesn't mean it's inherently wrong now. With the exception of, say, like blackface. That's not cool. Let me use an example of this. One of the biggest defenses I've heard for Wreck-It Ralph 2, aside from the fact it's, just kid fun, was that it had a good female power message. First of all, no it didn't. The message basically revolved around, being a woman is awesome, you should be independent. You know, the most blanket, stereotypical, nothing women power message ever. But something that they don't seem to realize, especially evident with the new Pixar short about the ball of yarn, a lot of people have moved on from these stereotypes. A lot of people have moved on from sexism in the workplace. A lot of people have moved on from inherent racism. But they haven't moved on from teaching us about it over and over. They're not really focused on telling stories anymore. They're more just trying to get their messages across, which Disney has always taught messages, yes. But they were never so sickeningly repetitive and bland. And they weren't also the forefront of the movies. Aladdin has a message, but you have to look in to find it. Hunchback of Notre Dame has a message, but it's not the forefront of the story. Wreck-It Ralph 2 has a message, and that's all you'll hear throughout the whole thing aside from stolen Emoji Movie jokes. And that is why I'm on the hashtag Disney Boycott. Disney has not proven themselves worthy of my money or my support. Luckily, Dave the Barbarian's online uploads are not at all posted by Disney nor monetized by them, so I can keep watching my favorite show without them ever profiting off of it. There's a little thing about this too. People are going to say that one person boycotting all of Disney isn't going to make much of a difference. But it actually is. No gesture won't do anything. Small gesture will do something, albeit noticeable. But it's like the snowball effect. Roll a snowball down a hill, it's going to get bigger. That's why I'm making this, so I can tell you all about what I'm doing here. Now let's hope you guys agree with me. And if you don't, whatever. But I'll see you guys later.
Good night, everybody.